All right, so today is our test. So we're doing a little bit of test review before. Right now I am in our notebook, just to the American Revolution part. So all of the slides after that American Revolution slide are the ones that we're talking about on this unit test. So I made a little study guide based off of these slides, and it is posted under today's date in your Google Classroom. So as you're looking through your test, and if you're not sure of answers, please make sure that you have read through this, because I promise you this is very helpful. So just to summarize, Paul Revere and the Midnight Ride. So that was on April 19th, 1775, signaled the start of the Revolutionary War. He was going to warn them about the battles of Lexington and Concord, and those were kind of our first battles of the war. After that, the Second Continental Congress met. Remember, that was kind of the government of the colonies before they had their freedom from Britain. This is where they decided they needed to declare independence from Britain. They couldn't go on the way that they were, and they established the Continental Army. Remember, the Continental Army is the name of their army. That is important to know. The Declaration of Independence was a very important document. It was written in July 1776. So that's when the colonists declared their independence, was in July 1776. We know this because we celebrate it on July 4th, the 4th of July. This is the document that officially declared the colonists wanted to be free from British rule. They wanted their own independence. Thomas Jefferson wrote the first draft. The colonists believed that all people were born with certain inalienable rights, meaning life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Remember, the colonists were sick of taxation without representation. They did not want to support a government where they had no voice, and that's what they were fighting for. As far as the armies, we have the Continental Army, and they fought, their strengths were that they fought for their own liberty, their own freedom. They received help from France, which helped them. They had a strong leader in George Washington. He led the Continental Army. Their weaknesses was they were small and poorly trained, had little money for war, no navy, very little supplies, and they had other responsibilities at home. Remember, most of the people in this army were just regular people up until this happened, and they asked for people to join. They said, okay, but didn't have the resources to train the people at first. They were called Minutemen because they were ready to fight at a minute's notice, right? They'd be out in their fields working, and they would run to help as quickly as possible. The British Army, their strengths were they were a large, well-trained army. They had a powerful navy, lots of supplies, lots of training. They were well established. This army had been around for a long time, so they were very powerful. Their weaknesses, since they were fighting a war across the ocean from where they live, there was long delays in getting supplies from Britain. They were unfamiliar with the countryside. They didn't know the land. They'd maybe never even been there before this. Supply ships were attacked when they were trying to bring them more supplies, and they were fighting for a cause they didn't really care about. People in Britain were not on board with this. Other perspectives. Remember, women were acting as spies, serving as nurses, taking over the men's jobs at home and work, dressing as men fighting in the war, cooking, sewing, following the troops to help them on location. Women were doing a lot of jobs. African Americans, the main way that they helped is thousands served in the Continental Army. Some were in the British, but thousands helped with the Continental Army. And they were fighting for their personal freedom. Remember, a lot of them were enslaved at this time, so they were fighting to be free from their enslavement. The Battle of Trenton. This was on Christmas. Remember, Christmas night. George Washington led an attack on the Hessians, those hired German soldiers, and the colonists won this battle, and this is what really gave them confidence to keep going, because up until this point, it hadn't been great. That led us to the Battle of Saratoga, and this was an intense battle where the colonists won their first official battle. And this showed that they were able to beat the British Army and encouraged France to become allies with the colonists. This was a big turning point in the Revolution. After this was Valley Forge. That was the winter training ground for the Continental Army. This was where they learned to fight as real soldiers and was considered the birthplace of the American Army. The Battle of Yorktown. This was the final battle of the Revolutionary War. This decided the final outcome of the war. And as you should know, the colonists, or the Americans, we can call them now since they've won, they won this war. They defeated the British. This became officially official with the Treaty of Paris 1783. This was the official document that marked the end of the Revolutionary War. So these are some highlights. I even underlined some extra important stuff, but you will see pretty much all of this information on your test. So look over it carefully. Have it open in one tab and have your test open in another, or even have this Edpuzzle open. And as I'm reading through it, you can be looking back and forth between your things. If you don't get an answer that you think you need, please, please, please check out our notebook, right? It is right near the top in resources. You should see class social studies notebook. I'm in Wesley's, so yours might look a little different, but it's still in the same spot. So open that up and remember, every answer you could need is on here somewhere. So if you use these slides, if it asks a question about, let's say, the Declaration of Independence, look through the notes I gave you. If you still don't have the answer, look through the circle map that we made. The answer is there somewhere. Remember, it's from the American Revolution and down. All of this information, these slides, are what we are covering on our test today. So look it over and definitely use this. If you're reading through your test going, I don't remember any of this, well, then reteach yourself, right? Use your resources to do your best. For today, you need to complete this Edpuzzle, and then you need to go take your test, of course. Good luck.